So it's raining back home, not here, but it's also raining in a good way, kind of bad way for Maven. Everybody wants to get on 4.3. The latest innovations have gotten the customer base pretty excited. So we had 4 upgrade requests come in, and we started 3 of them. One was a 4.2 to 4, ones were 4.3s that wanted to keep pace. And it was sort of a race to see if patch 3 would come in, because that's what everybody was looking for. So we'll check in first with, I think, the one that's most interesting. It's the largest one, kind of been taking the longest. There are delays in what version we were going to get to. They have a pretty tight and locked system, so no vendors in their production system, which made it hard to decide as far as sizing and configuration and things of that nature. And they unfortunately have always sort of outsourced this, and they don't have proper documentation, so their people couldn't give us any straight answers, even for what they wanted, sizing, and what was going on in their production system. But we did know a little bit that they have around 3,000 users. Currently, they're running 4.2 SP9. And they run on Windows. They use Crystal, AO, Webby, Lumira. They have a custom launchpad in CMC. They use single sign-on with Windows AD. And they have an Oracle data warehouse plus SQL Server, and they have their audit database and CMS database on Oracle. So their current issues, they say that they're behind the tech. Their performance they've described as janky. I'll tell you why that is later. They aren't able to look up their reports in the search feature in 4.2. They have low memory, it hangs, and they've been left, for what they say, without a place to dashboard inside 4.2, where I think you can still dashboard inside 4.2, but I get it. Primarily, they use the product for Webby reporting, scheduled reporting, and legacy dashboards that were on Lumira. And why are they upgrading? They want to keep up with the roadmap. They're interested in all the new features in 4.3. They're interested in the new look. They think that it will help them essentially from a PR perspective to get people reinvigorated about the product and their particular reporting. And they also, they're seeking stability. Their last build was not very stable. Like I said, they had the issues, the slowdowns. And so their idea is, if I upgrade to the latest and greatest and just redo everything, that they'll get that stability that they seek. So in order to help them out with this stability, we convinced them not to do an in-place upgrade. We did a complete new server, fresh installation. Luckily, a lot of the back and forth between our side and their side, and statement of work and issues with accessing production allowed us to delay the project about 2 weeks. And luckily, I have an inside track with Paul, who let me know that I had about 5 days and patch 3 was being released. So I kind of delayed them a little bit, and we were able to get them to agree to patch 300 for SP3, which is a big one. And so we were taking a little bit of a risk. They knew it and we knew it, but I trusted that this patch was the one to go. We also proposed to decommission the Lumira server and the dashboards that were made in the Lumira and Design Studio. They're not going to be supported going forward. They don't have a lot of adoption, and quite frankly, there are other tools that we can do this in. And we also suggested to move the audit and CMS database to SQL Server from Oracle to help with those performance issues. And we, I should have put this in my slide, but also we have told them that, 8 GB to 16 GB on your RAM on your servers is not enough, despite what SAP says. We suggest between 32 and 64. and that'll really give you sort of the juice to get going. So we were able to give them a new system. We got Windows Server 2019, gave them Crystal Reports, Webby. We're working on the custom Launchpad. It's a little bit different, going from 4.2 to 4.3. We were able to get single sign-on done. We switched their audit and CMS to SQL Server. We were able to make the proper connections for their Oracle data warehouse, and we are moving some of the Mira reports to Webby. And they also have they have attempted to move those Mira reports to Click. That did not work. And then they attempted to move it to Power BI, and they're having issues with that. So we are suggesting to allow us to propose to move those other already deployed Lumira replacements in Webby. And interestingly enough, they had the Universe Bridge product, which is fine, but it's a little bit inferior to what I've used with Infoburst. So we're going to see if they're open to being able to use Infoburst to kind of bridge between their universes and their Power BI and Click, which might be a little bit more of a better way for them to replace some Lumira dashboards in Power BI or Click by using trusted data from the universe. But anyway, so the new version that they're using in for BusinessObjects, we were able to get that patch 300. It was successful. We're very happy with it. They're happy. It looks beautiful. The little things. I wasn't able to get them to agree to let me take screenshots because we weren't able to kind of get a lot of logos, and a lot of this happened over the last couple of days. We've been really working our behinds off, but it looks great. It is a little bit faster. It looks that much slicker because, I don't know if you realized this, but there's always like this kind of empty space when you're looking at your reports in 4.3. That's been kind of consolidated. There's just been like little things that were paid attention to for SP3 that weren't exactly there, or SP3 patch 3 that weren't exactly there for the other ones. We did face some issues. The low memory from their current dev system and the low memory that they initially gave us in the new server was an issue. It prevented a smooth migration. We had to kind of piece it out in beer files. It was a pain. It took a lot. We had some access issues that we had to sort out with the client. So I suggest that when if you're doing, as a contractor, an upgrade to try to get those done as quickly as possible. It put us behind. There were things that we did not anticipate on their side and our side. And so when you lose a week in upgrade, it can really affect things. It's kind of like a snowball. When you make a plan to upgrade, you got to try to keep it, right? And when you don't do that, and I am case in point right here, we got behind, and so we weren't able to do some of the things that we wanted to do. And we kind of had to make up our time weekend and late at night to get back on schedule. We also had some issues with single sign-on. They tried to use the same service account for both servers. So I don't know if anybody's ran into that issue. It's something that was new to me. And so we had to get them to create a new service account. So we were able to get single sign-on working. And so the current state is that dev is installed, it's successful, accepted. We're moving the work to test, and we expect to be completed right before IBIS. And actually, I do have one screenshot. Let me grip it up. Here we go. Can't see it. Must be the way I shared. Well, I'll send a screenshot when I turn in my slides so it's available to everybody. But there's not a lot of big differences if you're already on 4.3, but it is nice. There's a bookmarking feature that the clients really wanted. There's the extra visualizations that the clients really wanted. There's the display full screen right in the actual UI. I really wanted you guys to see that, but that's okay. I don't want to waste everybody's time because we got a couple other interesting scenarios. So our other client, they're a financial services company. They have a relatively sizable user base that's been growing. They're on 4.3 SP2 patch 5. Their current config, they're on Windows 2019. They're a huge Webby shop. They're all about Webby reporting and dashboarding. They use the Need for Viz extension. They're obsessive with info bursting to the point where it's insane, some of the things that they want to do in specifics. They use SQL Server for their reporting, and they use a combination of enterprise login plus Windows single sign-on. There aren't many issues, although the client has identified, and I have seen bugginess in 4.3 SP2 patch 5. There is an issue with time dimensions. When you create a time dimension, they've been having an error. We get the contact identifier -1 or something error. Just kind of randomness. Although again, they use the system a lot from a consumption and development perspective. And we've done a lot to try to alleviate these issues, but they seem to persist. So that's really their main reason for the upgrade. They also are because they are such a Webby shop, they're always, and they don't have Power BI, they don't have Tableau, so they do everything in Webby in InfoBurst, and so they're really always chasing the latest innovation. So as soon as something comes out, they're on it. Like they wanted SP3 in December, but we had to tell them it wasn't ready. So they've been wanting this for a long time. Primarily, like I said, they use Webby for reporting and dashboarding, always via Universe. Pretty strict about that. They don't have their user base sign in directly through the Launchpad. They use sort of like an intranet system within their company, and it contains links, open doc links. And those open doc links are secured via row level security. So depending on what team and what department you belong to, your click it, your BO user gets activated with AD, and then you're filtered to exactly the report that you want to, or dashboard that you want to view. So because of that, they don't like to do new servers. They like to do in place every time because it's a pain for them to go and change open doc links and do this, that, and the other. And like I said, they run a very lean shop. They only have 2 FTEs in their BI team plus us. So that's not a lot. So we kind of do what they ask. And we do an in-place upgrade. And they also use a lot of InfoBurst. They love InfoBurst PDF packets. They filter and they deliver them via email. They deliver them via text message, and also to network folder. So they have a series of network folders based on the subject matter. You click it, and then you'll have all company-wide. Certain people can see all company, and then you click that, and then you can see it by month. And then you can see this nice little PDF packet that we put together by month for them. Or if you're on more of a team or a department, you go through, you don't see the all in your network. And then you have your team, and InfoBurst will actually split it out in a run, and you only get your team's PDF packet, and then a new folder is created via an InfoBurst macro, and then so that month's PDF packet is put in there. And that's kind of how they're able to run that lean shop. So again, we did an in-place 4.3 SP3. They had been wanting it since patch 0, so it was kind of, you know, we were honestly trying to give them patch SP3 patch 2 before it was ready. And we'll talk about that in a second here. So the new config is in place with same current. So our big issue was, like I said, they were so itching for the upgrade and get the new features that we decided to try to do it anyway. And we just had all kinds of issues. We had issues with the adaptive processing servers, the Webby service. We ran into issues with WAC. And so we attempted various remedies from SAP. SAP issued 2 hot fixes, and they did not resolve the issue completely. They fixed the Web Intelligence Service and WAX, but APS issue never resolved. So luckily, patch 300 came out pretty shortly after. I kind of cried uncle. We applied patch 300, but the issues persisted. And so we were kind of worried. This was actually the first one we did before we started working on the larger client. So we decided to contact their IT support. They wiped the server to backup before installation. We reinstalled. Perfect. So right now it's in a state of test mode. There's been no issues. They're really happy. And so they have bullied us into shipping dev and production by Monday. And so we've started that, and we'll be doing that over the weekend, and getting probably no sleep and not a lot of fun, but by Monday they'll be happy. And it's, like I said, the sandbox has been great. All the issues that we had on the other server are gone. Like I said, it looks a lot better. The new features are great. They're really excited about being able to not have to use just merge dimensions by being able to use the kind of joins. Like I said, because they're such a webby shop that they are probably the most thirsty, other than myself, for webby innovation. So I love them.
This was interesting in the sense that this was an in-place upgrade.
Yes.
But even, when you had to go to 300, you had trouble, but then you wiped the server.
Yeah.
Right. So it's almost like doing another install.
Yeah, it was.
So
We
I'm
did
just
that.
wondering if you think that the in-place had anything to do with the issue.
No, I think what we think the issues are, and this is also me depending on Daya, because I very much trust him, good or bad, right? But his theory is that it had to do with issues on the sandbox from this patch. And because 4.3 SP2 is stable, that when we in place to SP3 patch 3, that we won't have those issues. He's given me, we call it a Maven guarantee. That's what he said. He said, Maven guarantee. You can tell him, book it. I was like, okay, man. That hasn't bit us yet. So I think we're going to be okay on that one. And if we have to do what we did there, we've already talked to IT support at the company. And we're going to take a backup right before we go. So if we end up having issues and we can't, and we've busted their system, we'll restore on Sunday. And then on Monday, I'll have to make the phone call. Try again next week. Yeah, exactly. I can't tell them, oh, Daya gave you a Maven guarantee. They're not going to care. In client 3, these are, this is a mining company. I've actually been with them since I was just a boy in my mid-20s. They were my rookie season, and I've never left. They've changed many times because it's not a very stable industry in the coal industry, but here we are. They are also a huge webby shop. They used to be, back in the day, a huge Excelsius shop where webby was used mainly for reporting. They kind of dabbled in Design Studio, and I wasn't having it. But currently we are at 4.3 SP2 patch 2. They use Windows 2019 webby. They use Need for Viz Freemium. They're a huge InfoBurst shop, and they run SAP ECC and SQL Server. Their primary use are InfoBurst. As you can see, they have a very small license pool, but everybody in the company needs access to the data. So we solve that by using InfoBurst. We send out PDFs, Excel, and text messages, and we split it out via responsibility. So that way there's just no appetite or budget in the coal industry for things like software licenses. Just not going to happen. So in order to alleviate that, as far as dashboarding as well, they have big monitors like this at their mines and big monitors like this at their office sites. where we display a series of 24/7 dashboards. 4.3 was huge for them because previously we had to write a Python program in 4.2 to be able to click different tabs on a browser to switch from dashboard to dashboard. And then we had to use another mechanism to go and refresh it. It was a whole thing, and it really didn't look good. 4.3 was huge for them because now they could just go and do the display full screen and then go into presentation mode, and they can refresh on their own and all that good stuff. So they're the same way as the other shops. They just like to keep up with technology. There's no real big reason why they wanted to upgrade other than same deal. It's been in demand since December and we've been putting them off. And so our upgrade was a new server. And we're going to avoid the in place for them. Because they run 24/7, it's really hard to do an in place if someone has a demand, and coal industry doesn't stop unless it's a Canadian, I think their version of 4th of July in Canadian Thanksgiving are the only 2 days that they don't run. So it's not an option. So we build them a whole new configuration. It's going to be the same, except we'll do 4.3 SP3 patch 300, and they're also going to go and try out Need for Viz again on a trial. We did have some issues during the upgrade. There were some ODBC connection issues, which we resolved. And there was a firewall issue with the new server. I was too stupid to figure that out. I did this one completely on my own. So I had to call my resident expert at Maven, who told me that we needed to whitelist the IP address. I should have known that. I've been doing this for almost 15 years. I didn't know that. Sometimes it's the simplest solutions. In this one, the single system is completed successfully. We just need to slap InfoBurst on it and then give them their trial of Need for Viz by the end of the week, and they'll be good to go. If we can find the time between not sleeping and working on our other products. So that is it for our update during upgrade season. It has been wild, but it has been worth it because we're going to end up having a lot of happy customers who feel like they're keeping up with the Joneses on technology. And honestly, that's a lot of what the issues are, that they want what they think everybody else has. So we gave it to them. Any questions?
Yeah, this one was really interesting because it has such a small user base, but I can understand what you're saying, that they're pushing the reports out, and of course they're pushing the dashboards onto the big screen now, which are refreshing and so forth. And they don't have many individual people going into it. But the other two, you said, were heavy webby shops. So how did those two companies address the UI difference from a trading perspective?
Appreciate you bringing that up, because that was one of the reasons also that the 4.2 to 4.3 got delayed, because they did not realize how they wanted to get this done in, I think, less than 3 months. And they did not realize the vast differences. And so we had to tell them that we now have to come up with a training plan in between test and production. So I'm working with the client right now. My best suggestion is to, and this is just me, I'm not the best trainer, and my business partner Di is not the best trainer either. We suggest to go out and find an actual training expert. You know, you can use Paul. My buddy Michael Ward is really good. There's a lot of really good YouTubes. But so that's a huge one. I'm really, really thankful you brought that up. It's huge. If you're going from 4.2 to 4.3, you absolutely have to have a training plan. Otherwise, people will be overwhelmed. If you have consumers that are just looking and clicking around, fine. But your developers and your kind of power users and power consumers will struggle. So yeah, we've actually cut out about 3 weeks time to address the training before 4.3 goes live. We want to get them training on the test system. And like I said, preferably, I want to get them with an actual training partner that's what they do. Do you have a question? Yeah, go ahead.
Same goes for developers?
I think so, yeah. Honestly, I mean,
It's gonna be easy for us to pick that up.
it depends. I mean, I've been doing this forever. And I had found myself referencing a lot of Infosol's videos. I think Roxanne did a couple when 4.3 came out, because I was used to my left side. I was used to how things looked. I was used to, right, when clicking on my component, I had my little box come up. Like, it was weird to have everything on the right side. It was weird to do all my build. It was strange, but I had found it is easier. It's more efficient. You don't have like all these little boxes up, and it's kind of very logical. So I think that if you're a developer and you're used to it, you're going to have a hiccup or two. You're going to watch a video and you're good to go. But I do think that if you're not an expert, I would suggest to go out and get help. That's what I found.
A couple more questions?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we're here.
Yeah. So what's the 4.3 install like? Scratch install? Is it like 4.2?
Yeah, it's very similar. Yeah, it's not like the first time that I helped out on an upgrade was going from Boxy to, I think it was, or maybe it was 3. It was my rookie season, right? It was so young, to 4.0, and it was just like my jaw was dropped. I was intimidated. I was like, how am I ever going to follow along? But this was it's pretty straightforward. You go and extract your download, make sure that you generate your new license key. And it's more about what the custom configurations on your end are. Do you have a custom launch pad? Do you have single sign-on? How many data sources are you using? Things of that nature.
Another question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Client 1.
Yeah.
You mentioned that there was a concern or a need to move auditor from Oracle to SQL Server.
Yes, the
Do you
audit
have any
database.
details on that? Why?
Um,
I've seen the same thing. I
yeah,
don't really know why it doesn't work well.
yeah, I struggled answering this with the client as well. So I sent them a bunch of SAP documentation, which usually doesn't help, but this time it did. But it's just my own real life experiences. When the backend's been on Oracle, that's when you have a lot of the jankiness, the clunkiness. You can't look up. It's hard to look up your reports in the index search on your launchpad. And I found that when switching to SQL Server, that these problems just sort of dissipated. And actually, the gentleman that first taught me that was Ethan Durda. He was an old mentor of mine. And I questioned him too. I was like, why? What's the difference? He was like, just do it. And we did it. And yeah, it worked a lot better. And luckily the client acquiesced, because I think they were just tired of hearing me baby cry about it. And we have them now on SQL Server.
Yeah, I have a question. I know in production, the Fiori launchpad was an option.
Yeah.
So 4.3 is mandatory, right?
That's the new look and feel. Yeah. That's the new look and feel.